deleting it, could we, put it for another meeting? Instead of deleting something, what do we do?
Table.
Table, thank you.
She's getting situated.
Yeah.
Dr. Spoilers told me it's farther than his desk. He says, "That is here."
Order. It is now 5:01 p.m. We'll do a roll call. Ms. Dean,
Present.
Vice President Begay,
Present.
myself present, Secretary Terrazas,
Present.
and Mr. Guadiana. Okay, we'll go ahead and do our board norms.
Number one, actively listen to all perspectives.
Close the loop, responding to concerns and questions as a unified board.
Model the professionalism we expect from all members of the district and community. Customer service orientation.
Assume positive intent.
Be positive and responsive.
We'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Dr. Spalding, can we turn off the heater? Is there a heater on in here?
It's just pre-recorded the first time we ever asked to turn it on.
Okay, that leads us to 1E, recognition of students.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz, for inviting some of our athletes from the high school. Is Juliana Ortiz here? Juliana was a district MVP and all-star for girls basketball. Congratulations. Nico Trujillo. Nico has been a four-time state champion in wrestling. And the cheer squad, I see 3 girls are here. The cheer squad recently placed 3rd place at the state. Katie Marquez is the coach, and Antoinette Madrid. Shelby Benfield, is Shelby here? Shelby is an all-star coach with girls basketball. And I think we'll bring the others back to recognize them next time. Thank you. Congratulations to all of you.
Good job. Do you want to take a picture with them?
Sure.
Yeah, let's take a picture. You got it, Susan? Okay, thank you. Now you can have some documents.
Let's stand up in front of you.
Oh, 5, there's 4 of you here.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
Good job, guys.
I don't want to be like the lone creeper in the back.
Should we get up and walk over that way?
I'm trying to hide behind Brianna. I'm hiding behind you, so I don't have like a creep. I don't want a photo bomb.
Just stand sideways. That way we can get more sideways.
Oh. I don't want to be in the photo. Get in the photo. Well, because it's about them.
And board members, if you want to stand up behind them.
No, it's about them. It's their moment.
I'm like hiding.
It's about the district.
Consensus, what is it? Okay.
No.
That's the kids.
Oh, okay, fine, but
The district, they represent the district.
Okay, and then there you go. Okay, ready? Smile. Thank you.
good job, guys.
Congratulations.
We were all kidding.
Okay, so that moves us on to item 1F, Student of the Month presentation.
So I'd like to recognize the Kiwanis Students of the Month. The first is Alex Barong from Snell Middle School. Is Alex here? No? Okay, I'll go to Cobre High School Student of the Month, Matthew Chavez. Okay, so those two students are our Kiwanis Club Students of the Month from Snell Middle School and from Cobre High School.
Congratulations to them. Okay, that moves us on to 2 public input on agenda items. And I just would like to remind the audience, for any public input, we should have some forms back there that you briefly fill out if you want to do that. Do we have any public input on agenda items? No. That moves us on to 3 action items. A, approval of agenda items.
Madam President, I have a few items I'd like to move, please. I'd like to move 8C to the next item after 3A. That's athletic parking and fees. And then I'd also like to move immediately after that 8A, adoption of the curriculum choices. And then I'd like to remove item 3D, approval of the MOU with the Bayard City. The attorney looked at the contract and we need to make a few revisions. Hopefully we'll have that for next time.
Madam President, I move for approval of the agenda as amended, or as moving 8C, 8A after 3A, and the removal of 3D.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing as there is no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Okay, so that moves us on to 8C, athletic parking fees. Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. So I've been asked to take on some questions about possible fees that there may be out there for athletic fees as far as parking is concerned. As far as actual fees, there are no fees for athletic parking. We do charge for one area, as far as like preferred. It's a $5 per vehicle fee on the baseball side, but that's the only fee that we charge for anybody who wants to park there.
I received information that the charge for those spaces up there at Javi Morales Field was $100 per spot.
That's not a fee, that's a fundraiser that baseball has. They've had that fundraiser for multiple years now, many years, so that's anybody to pay.
How is that not a fundraiser?
It's a fundraiser.
I mean, sorry.
So it's basically the coaches and the coach staff, want to make a fundraiser, and then they will fundraise, for parking spots, and so it'll be reserved for the families that pay for that. As a fundraiser.
So
But it's not like a mandatory fee, it's not anything that's imposed on parents or something that has to be done. But it's just a fundraiser.
So when you have constituents that say that they pay the property taxes, they pay the bonds, they pay the bonds, and how is it that, number one, how is it that it was solicited for people to purchase it, and was everybody eligible to purchase it?
Yeah, everybody was eligible for purchase. I'm not sure how it was solicited. Usually fundraisers, they submit their information and they take care of their own fundraisers. So I'm not sure how that was solicited. Was as far as put in the paper, I don't know. I'm sorry, I couldn't answer that question for you. I don't know how the coaches went about putting that out there for the public.
So,
But
Mr.
yes.
Diaz, I have a question. Could we just put a sign up that says like
There are
reserved
signs.
parking, like for, season pass holders or something like that?
There are signs. There are
Okay.
signs. In fact, actually, the person in question whose parking space was taken is actually here. But there are other parking spaces available for people that did not reserve a parking. So they can park. There are other parking spaces for them.
Yes, I understand. This has been going on since I was in high school. But was the fundraiser did it go through the proper routes of filling out the form that we
Yes, it
see
was fill out the forms.
and got approved and all that, the process?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head because I get a stack of, I can look through
Okay.
those approval forms.
And I 100% support this as a fundraiser for those who want to pay the $100 to get a reserved seat.
I still have a lot of issues on one is if we didn't open this up to everybody, or if you don't know how it is that it was opened up, is that correct? Number two, I don't ever remember seeing a fundraiser form for $100 for parking spaces.
They were turned in sometime in February.
Again, I don't remember seeing any such form for fundraisers. And number two is that if it is, well, it is difficult to have an explanation for those people that are concerned about the propriety of having charged for parking spaces, given that they made payments as mentioned before. And that is something that I don't remember as a board approving. And that is something that certainly would be something that the board should have approved or at least been advised of. And the constant
Hi, how are you?
or the reoccurring episodes of people complaining seems to communicate that that process isn't well known. That process may not be supported, and people contest it for the purposes of being the people that have paid for putting that facility up to the place that it is.
I'm not sure if there's a question. And there's a lot of statements, but I'm not sure. Do you have a specific question that I can answer?
Did you have board approval for going forward with that?
Not that I'm aware. I can't off the top of my head think about, which one. I have stacks of what do you call it? What do you call those things? Fundraising forms. There you go. Thank you. So there are fundraising forms out there. Yeah. So I can't tell you if I did or we did or not.
Thank you. So it looks like we have some questions that need to be researched further. How it was advertised and making sure that the proper paperwork was placed. I know we have a lot of fundraisers that come through, and I would have to go back and look at my notes to see if it was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And at this point, I mean, the kids already fundraised, they have the spots, so we can look at it next season.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you so much.
I'd
Okay,
like to
that
bring up
moves us
one,
on
one,
to-
I'd like to bring up one other thing related to this. This was reviewed in the audit committee about the fundraisers and the accounting of that. And this again wasn't part of that accounting that was provided. And recently, Mr. Ryan had showed me areas of concern that need to be discussed further. Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Diaz. Okay, that moves us on to 8A, adoption of curriculum choices. Before we begin that, just one second. So I've heard, why is the school board getting involved, getting their hands in the curriculum? And it is part of administrative code for the school board to look at the district's curriculum and educational policies. And it is also part of our new board policies that the board approve the curriculums. So I just wanted to make note of that. Okay, Mrs. Chavira?
Okay, good evening, Board President and members of the board, Dr. Spalletta. I'm excited to share our potential curriculum for this next school year. I have invited my curriculum team, Kathy Marcus, Brianna Martin, Ashley Sandberg, Bethany Zamora, and Anise Salcido to share their highlights of why they selected their program. But I wanted to share a paper with you. You have it in your board packet. I think it's at the very end, if you don't want to read off of a screen up here. So I'll let you find that. I think it's the second page to the last. I think next to the parking lot.
875.
Mhm. Okay, so I will be presenting that as a PowerPoint as well. So in red, you have the purchases that we hope to make this school year. There's some that we have made. And in blue are purchases that we've made in previous years. So we hope to purchase decodable readers for kindergarten. And I have a sample of them right over here. So we hope to purchase about 30 titles and 6 student books per 30 titles. So a teacher can use them during their reading group and during intervention. And they will follow the phonics sequence of letters. So I would like to purchase, the purchase is going to be about $6,000 to purchase first grade and kindergarten, 30 titles, six books each. Okay. And I'm going to move on. I'm going to go to No Red Ink. That's a writing component for 6 through 12. And we have already purchased some novels for high school. That's a supplement material. That was for Miss Begay's class. Horizons, we've purchased this a year ago, but Central is piloting the program for this year, and they're using it as an intervention piece. And Kinder Music, we were given Kinder Music as a freebie for some rollover money that we had, and I would eventually like to purchase it for Floyd Daycare as well. And these are purchases that we had last year or the years before. Houghton Mifflin, they purchased Into Literature for ELA. Reading Plus is an online reading supplement for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Lexia, that was purchased several years ago, online phonics supplement. Hagerty, Waterford for pre-K, and 3 Cheers. So I would like our big purchase, again, teacher-created materials, that purchase right there, that's going to be approximately $6,000 to cover those decodable readers. Then we have Savas, which is our ELA curriculum that we need to purchase. As mentioned before in previous board meetings, that we have had really no curriculum this year. We've been supplementing it because we had to move away from Lucy Calkins, and it took us a while to do that. And so we did our due diligence this year. We looked at many vendors, and I have Brianna Martin will speak out for the elementary schools. And then we have, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought, Ashley Sandberg. And she will present out for the 6 through 8, and they will present in their highlights of why they selected this program. So let's go ahead and start with Brianna Martin.
Hello, board. My name is Brianna Martin. I go by Bree, as most of you know me. I have been lucky enough to actually pilot Savas for at least half a year since December. My kids, there was some pushback, and I think we always see that with new curriculum, but my kids have excelled with that, and I shared that with other teachers here in the district, and they got to see writing samples, and they were just amazed at how far and the high expectations that this curriculum has. Now, this curriculum does follow the reading rope, which is big for our littles all the way up to our bigs, as well as it starts to actually incorporate a written piece to it. So what's kind of nice with this curriculum is it has that ELA course, but it also has the writing built into it. So for example, my kids were working on lots of nonfiction. We wrote a biography. So again, it's nice to integrate that reading with the writing on that. Again, this curriculum was something that we at Hurley chose to pilot in the upper grades, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I know in 5th grade, they've started embedding it in, and she's seen success in their vocabulary, which is something we get tested on tomorrow, as well as in their spelling patterns. You know, it really focuses on a small quantity of words and focusing on the quality of that instead of having this huge amount of spelling words. That being said, it also has, again, that writing embedded, which is something that we know is something we struggle with. It has moved to 2 written responses instead of 1, similar to that seen in state testing as well. So for those teachers, you know what I'm talking about. My 6 years here in the district of Cobre, which is my only district I've taught it so far, we have not had a steady curriculum that has been up to par, as well as has recent news articles, stories that actually meet the kids' needs. 2 weeks ago, we read about Malala. It shocked my kids, but it was real life and it was real world that is good information for them to build on. So with this new curriculum, hoping that we adopt, it has great fundamentals. It breaks down to weekly planning. It also has fast track, which we on the 4-day week, we know these curriculums are built for 5 days a week. So having that fast track really allows us to kind of hit those key components without missing anything. It also has great benefits for first-year teachers. It has everything laid out the first page before you even get into the curriculum. And with our grade level PLCs, we as returning teachers can really break down that wall to those new teachers so that we kind of level the playing field at all schools, which I think is the big thing. This year, Susanna is right. We kind of chunked together our curriculum. We lost that online component. This one has great online components. Everything is online, as well as it has a student book workbook with stories in it, allowing them to highlight, underline, all those little things that really add up. Those things those skills that we need to teach them when it comes to state testing. Again, we don't teach the test, but if we can teach skills to help them get there, that's going to benefit everybody at every grade level, and even as they continue to middle and high school. So as you guys look at curriculum, please consider this. I've tried it, I piloted it. The other teachers I shared it with were amazing at looking at it and excited for it. The 5th grade and 4th grade who are also piloting it are taking bits and pieces of it. But I think, you know, when we jump in, we need to jump in, and we got to jump in together so that we can see that across the board. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Sorry. That's my first time.
No. Okay. Right. And our next presenter is
Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. If I can just start off, we do have a ed report overview for the My Perspectives, the BOS curriculum, if I can have that out. I have enough copies. So I can make my classroom right now. There you go.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it.
So the ELA department at Snell Middle School would like to choose Savas My Perspectives as our curriculum because after reviewing several presentations by many companies, we found Savas was best suited to meet our needs. The materials in My Perspectives are engaging and include up-to-date literature, and there are many components to the curriculum for blended learning that include digital media, reading, grammar, writing, and vocabulary supports, along with assessment and data tools. The curriculum encourages positive social collaboration and is aligned with the Common Core standards. The activities can be scaffolded and they are rigorous for student learning at all levels. We found this curriculum offered many supports for not only our high learners, but also our struggling readers and writers, and it also meets the needs of our ELL students, that's English language learners. In addition, we would like to continue with the curriculum, as Ms. Martin said, to continue the curriculum that the elementary school is seeking to adopt so that we can continue student learning at the middle school level with the curriculum that's familiar with students are familiar with. At Snell Middle School, social studies is also considering adopting the Savas social studies component or curriculum, which would increase that collaboration in the thematic units across the board. Our current curriculum has many gaps and makes planning very difficult for lessons. It makes it both time consuming because we have to seek out various resources and engaging materials to meet all of our students' various needs. We believe having a curriculum, especially Savas My Perspectives, will meet our needs because the materials and components are all included and there's a rigorous scope and sequence aligned to the standards that we can still personalize and adjust to meet our students' needs. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one. So it aligns with the elementary, right? It
Well,
says-
if the elementary is going to be adopting the Savas, that's what they're looking, that's what Ms. Bree just presented on, that's what they would carry on to the middle school. So they would get it in both elementary and middle school, and over time, we should be able to see that really strong alignment.
All right, thank you.
I would just like to make a note that Savas for both elementary and middle school were rated very highly by the state, the high 90s. So.
And it is used, it's a curriculum that's used across the state as well.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Chavira, maybe we can get that alignment at the high school too, since they're with HMH.
Right, we're looking into that.
So I know we just purchased HMH though. That was purchased recently, if you noticed that. I think it was, when was it purchased?
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So we only have so much money. We know that. And so that's what I thought about. But first I wanted to get the social studies and this language arts as it is. Right now, I'm not sure, we're lucky. I'm going to tell you how lucky we are. We have the CLSD grant, that comprehensive literacy grant. And with that, I used about 200,000 of that grant for curriculum. And that, I think, is the only reason why we're able to buy all this curriculum, is because we had that extra support this year from CLSD. So let's go ahead and move on to social studies. I have two people from social studies presenting. We are going to present for 5th grade. We have Anise Salcido, and she will be talking about Savas My World.
I'm Mrs. Salcido. I'm the 5th grade teacher at Hurley Elementary. I'll be honest with you guys, we have not adopted a social studies curriculum in the elementary schools in probably 20 years. I've been in the district more than 20 years and we have never adopted social studies curriculum. The last set of books that the librarians finally got rid of at the elementary school were printed in the late 1970s, early 1980s. So when we say we have no social studies curriculum, we literally have no social studies curriculum. So I'm super excited that we're finally going to have something. Because for years and years, teachers have been kind of trying to do the social studies on their own. Nico will attest to that. She was in my class. We made it work, but it was really hard. So we are looking at SAVAS. It would be super beneficial in the alignment department. With us adopting SAVAS for language arts across the board, adopting a new curriculum, when you're in a classroom, can be completely overwhelming as far as learning how to work the curriculum, knowing where all the components are. By adopting the social studies company the social studies curriculum by the same company, their platform online runs the same way as the language arts. So for a teacher, it's going to make navigating and finding all the parts and using them much easier, because we're already using the platform for language arts. It's easy to transfer that over into social studies. The other thing is the social studies for Zavas has done a really good job of embedding the language arts standards into the social studies curriculum. So that way it aligns with the language arts nonfiction standards as well. And then with the junior high and high school, with the junior high looking at Savas, and us not having a social studies curriculum for so many years, we haven't done a good job of prepping our kids because we didn't know what they needed to know going up there. If we buy a curriculum that lines up with the junior high curriculum, we know what we have to teach because it matches up with what they're going up there to get. So, the other thing is I would recommend, because we're looking at piloting it for just 5th grade, cost-wise, to save some money, don't buy us the books. Get us the online portion and let us try running it for a year as a pilot using the online version. The online version, the kids have access to everything they would have had in a textbook, but it's online. The teacher will still have a teacher's edition. The teacher can assign assignments, but they'll be able to, it'll save us some money as far as having the textbooks, but still give the kids the ability to have access to the entire curriculum. If you have any questions.
So you got a question. So it says Savas does not include New Mexico units. Can you explore on that?
What do you mean?
It does not include New Mexico units.
Oh, the New Mexico history is different. I'm just reporting on the Savas for the 5th grade.
Oh.
New Mexico history, Savas actually doesn't make a New Mexico history. So we can't adopt New Mexico history from them. It's not an option. Their company doesn't make it.
So we're gonna have Kathy Marcus, go ahead and come on up. She's next. She will be presenting on the middle school and the high school, and she will also be talking about the New Mexico history. So, having to go to register vendor for New Mexico history.
And they've only given me 5 minutes.
That's it.
And if you guys know me, I can do anything I want here. So I've got a few things here that I wanna share with you. And like I said, I have to get things done my way or it's the highway. So you two need to share that one. You two need to share that one. And I guess I'm gonna let you two share that one. What you're looking at is the social studies state standards. It's inquiry based. And this is what I do every day in my classroom. I print out materials and I have to have them share because I get in trouble for using the copy machine too much, but there's no supplementation. I have only a textbook. And I have my witness here. He's back here sitting down as to what amount of time I spend creating my own curriculum. And research shows that if a teacher is creating, no matter how creative she is, and I'm creative, let me tell you, there's gaps in that curriculum. Because we need to meet these standards. And in order to get students engaged, like it was said at that assessment meeting the other day, teachers need to be more creative and keep the kids engaged. That in itself is a miracle. That's hard to do when you only have a textbook. I've been teaching history for more than 7 years at Snell Middle School. I have never been a part of this team. So right now I am so grateful. I'm like the kid at a candy store, really. So I was grabbing samples from everybody, calling everybody, well, send me a sample, just for resources. Not because I was promising that I wanted the curriculum, but just for resources. I use the Library of Congress, Muselia, ReadWorks, everything, especially with the quad text. Training that we're doing. This is the way I've been doing my curriculum for that long. When they first moved me into the classroom, I opened up the class, it was those books where you wrote your name, good, and all that. It's like, oh my goodness, I know that person. They're older than me. And that's enough, okay, of that. You said that we need to stay positive, so I'm gonna stay positive, okay? Because I'm excited about Sabas, I really am. Oh my goodness, it has so much stuff. So one of the things that I know 5 minutes, I know. So one of the things that I want you to know is that I'm here representing my students, not me. You know what, I can continue creating curriculum, but I'm representing my students. This letter here is from Iman Jordan. He says, "Dear school board," I'm speaking for him. "We need more supplies in order to learn. Mrs. Marquez is trying to use other resources rather than using the textbooks. She works over the weekends to help us. I understand more than what is written in the textbooks. Mrs. Marquez needs the support in order to support us in our educational journey. She does so much for us with what she has, so we need the materials." He let me use his name. I did get permission from the parent. Here is another one, anonymously, even though I have her name. "Dear school board, the curriculum in the classroom needs to change. Most of the students at the Cobre School District are visual learners. Giving us a textbook isn't good enough. Teachers need more to get us more interested in learning. And so the teachers don't have to find all their lessons. When us students have more hands-on opportunities, we're more likely to learn and to understand it. The curriculum should be interesting and educational." Okay, so and a lot of them did get into the rigor part of the classroom. And I'm like, wow, you guys know that that's rigor? I don't know, but we're bored. I go, okay, so that's classroom management. I'm not going to go to that. However, reading what my students said really opened up my eyes. They are so eager to learn. They want to learn, but we're not giving them that opportunity because we're doing partial curriculum. With partial curriculum, they're eager. Can you imagine with the whole slew that we have? Let me talk about Savas. When I went into the training, I was like, because Savas integrates language arts. It embeds the technology already in there for virtual field trips. And some of these kids don't get out of Grant County, period. They don't even know Las Cruces. Can you imagine them going to Washington, D.C. virtually? And so I did speak to my students about that, and they said, well, but Mrs. Marcus, we do not like having our Chromebooks. Oh, wait, don't say that. What do you mean? Well, we're responsible for them, and then they break, and then there's a lot of money, and can't we just have computers in the classroom? Another topic that came up that day, and it's like, well, you know what? They did talk about it, so I'll throw it in there. I did. Okay. So let me tell you about Sabas. Sabas is not, unfortunately, a part of the state recommendation. It does hit 85%, but because of the culturally linguistic response, it is not check marked. And we all know about am I over 5? Yes, okay, sorry. We all know.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We all know about the Yazzie Martinez, okay? This is where this comes from. However, being a bilingual teacher, I include my WIDA strategies throughout my lessons because that's the way I was taught. Even though we are not basically a bilingual, environment. I do that. So I guarantee you that CLR component, and I have information if you guys want it, that CLR component will be met when I receive this, or if I can adopt this curriculum.
Kathy, can you speak to the next code units, having to go to a different vendor?
Yes. So we did ask all these other vendors if they had New Mexico, and one of them actually did, and but I wasn't too excited about it because they were from back east. So I said, do you know where New Mexico is? And if they tell me it's in Mexico, no, I don't want it, So this person that came was really excited about showing us the teacher. They're known as teacher created materials, and they're from New Mexico, and they're teachers, and they understand what needs to be taught here. What it got me excited was that the readers, the level readers, oh my goodness. So they say how much? I said, I want 30 of each one. I know there's money involved, but you ask me how much I want it all. So the readers are really important for the differentiated instruction, and we need to meet that because we have a high number of students with accommodations. And if you can't reach every student, like that mission statement that we've had for so many years, then why do we have that if we can't meet the needs that they need for all students? And I'm including my students with accommodations. That's my heart right there. That's my heart. And the teacher created materials is awesome, colorful. The components it has is.
What are some of those readers? I know one is.
It has to do with each topic.
Yeah,
Route 66, but it goes with the Abigail Adams, and that goes into the early beginning of history and John Adams, and so also the topics in New Mexico, for example, they'll go into Como Pueblo. They'll go into that. They'll go into the Southwest Indians, and it gives each one its own right to be learned. And I bring that in there because right now we're talking about Pancho Villa, and I have some student work to show you because I'm so proud of my kiddos. And it's important to understand each corner of New Mexico. And that's part of that Yazzie Martinez. We need to bring culturally into our classroom what all this is about. I'm sorry for taking 5 minutes.
That's
but
okay.
I get
I do want to say though, on the list I have from the PED, the Savas at the 6th grade level, it is recommended,
yes, it is.
91%, and it has CLR recognition.
Yes. I don't know why
As well, the 8th grade, it's recommended with reservations.
With reservation.
Mm-hmm. And up there it says it's going to be for 6th through 12th grade, so the high school would be using the different civics, economics thing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it does, and those components also come with digital field trips, virtual field trips. And the one thing I didn't mention about the teacher created materials is that this is really important because I don't know, many of you guys remember that I retired for personal reasons. And it was really difficult to see how my students were struggling with substitutes because they could not fill my position. This one here, if I were to get sick and not be there, the substitute could easily go through the lesson because it is scripted and it gives you exactly what you need to do. That in itself is good. You know, you don't want stuff to just go in there not knowing what's being taught. Oh, one more, sorry. I did go out to other colleagues for the districts. They're using Savas, by the way. They say it's rigorous and it has a ton of reteaching options and it's compatible with Google Classroom. So on snow days, nobody's off. Let's get to work, right? And then also the ones that train, they have fast responses and they're always there when you need them.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions?
For Ms. Chavita, what does the high school use for their social studies curriculum?
Wherever they can find it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next presenter, I'm going to go ahead and speak real quickly on science. So science, we have no curriculum in science in the elementary. We haven't in many years.
1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Our student rep would like to comment.
I just wanted to mention that we are using HMH as well, books for our history classes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in science, we have no curriculum in the elementary schools. So I applied for the Open SciAd, and it's a pilot program through the PED. And each teacher will receive a stipend, and we will hopefully get kits with that and get trained. Again, I'm not sure if we're getting that or not, but keep our fingers crossed. And so we have Houghton Mifflin. We have decided that's the one we like. We really thought about Savas, but we went with Houghton Mifflin. So we have our presenter for Houghton Mifflin, and it's Bethany Zamora.
Thank you, President and members of the board. So I am super excited. I have been in the district back probably 11 years, and I have had no science curriculum that entire time. So I went to a training probably about 8 years ago, and it was STEM training. And then so it's science, technology, engineering, and math, which basically shows the kids how all of those subjects, when you have language arts, you have history, you have math, you have all these things, and it shows them how all of it goes together, how it supports each other, why it's important. And I've been teaching it. I've come up with my own curriculum just because my students loved it. They love to learn how to work together, how to do blueprints together. You give them a project and they knew that they had to research. How are engineers going to help with this? What kind of technology is going to need to be used? What kind of math are we going to need to know? And so watching all of that come together and then support all of these other subjects has been amazing. And they love it. And I had a slideshow that I was going to bring, but I couldn't get enough slides because they kept wanting to put their own slides in it. And so finally I was like, I'm just going to go talk about it. But it's just something that Houghton Mifflin has that you can get immediate feedback. They get a topic, they go through it, they quiz on it, they see how they did, I see how they did, and then they want to go back and figure out, okay, how are we going to fix it? And so they go through it again. They look through the steps. They look through what their outcome is going to be. And so basically they like doing it because it's like they're scientists. They're going to go through it 3 times until they finally come up with the outcome that they're looking for. And for me to be able to give them immediate feedback on what they've done and ask them, what do you think you can do better? And that's rigor for them, to be able to critically think And instead of me spoon feeding them the answers, they're digging deep to find their own answers and to work together as a team. And you don't see that often in education. You don't see a lot of teamwork. And they know that they have to work as a team to be successful in life. They know that they have to be able to use all these different topics to be successful in whatever they choose to do. And this just goes across the board. It's teacher friendly, it's student friendly, it's a hybrid. So if I have to print something off for a student who has a broken Chromebook, I can. They can use it on their Chromebooks. They can do a little bit of both. Some of them are good with writing and they want to be tactile learners. Some of them can just be visual learners and they can do it all on their Chromebook. But this gives us a chance to use both so that we can hit all the learning styles of all the students. I was really excited to see it. I did a lot of research on it. Math, we know in our state, is a struggle for us. And this program throws in so many concepts of math and all the different, and the science, the technology, the engineering. I mean, they wanted to show how they were measuring out for their blueprints, how they were going to know that the engineers had to be involved. And so the excitement that they saw in the program as I was going through the different slides and showing them the different students that were working in the different schools, just the excitement that I could see building up, up with them kind of really sold me on this because I was excited about it. It was giving me the opportunity to not have to build lesson plans for regular science, forensic science, science tech. And I knew it was going to make my life so much easier. And so that was going to make them really know that Mrs. Zamora is not struggling to come up with this. She's got it. This is giving it to her. She's not having to, okay, how am I going to involve all these things? So they were excited themselves to see it, which made me excited. And so as soon as I saw the different statistics from just not in our country, but around the world, STEM has been used in several different countries, and math is their strong point now, where we struggle. And so just seeing those types of studies done really showed me that this was the curriculum that I wanted to go with. And I think it scaffolds so well from sixth, seventh, and eighth into the high school. It's not something you have to dig around for. It scaffolds perfectly so that you can it's just a building block. And so for me, that was a highlight, that we weren't going to have to struggle. It was just going to go step by step by step. So any questions on that? All right.
I don't know if this is a premature question, but in a general sense, how do these curriculums, not just your curriculum, but the others, have a possibility of tying into career pathways?
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they do. I mean, I'm sure they talk about scientists. I mean, I haven't done the curriculum, so I'm not sure.
And it's, like I said, it may be premature. It's something that we need to.
Are you asking about all the curriculums or just the science curriculum?
All of
The SAVAS, social studies, and the language
them.
arts?
Can you come up to the mic that way it can be recorded? Please.
The SAVAS, social studies and language arts. Perfect example, my kids last week read a story out of SAVAS because I'm piloting it along with Mrs. Martin. My kids learned about it being an architect. They read a story about Frank Lloyd Wright, about him building a house in Chicago. The house was being torn down by the University of Illinois and being split up into 3 parts. And those 3 pieces of the house were going to be sent to museums all over the world. And my kids ended up learning about how to be an architect. Social studies does the same thing. They give you individual stories regarding different historical people. One example of the one we saw in the presentation, I want to say, it was about it wasn't the sixth grade curriculum, it was one for the older grades, but it had a story about a African-American writer during the Reconstruction era after following the Civil War. And so they do a good job of introducing different people throughout history and what their career paths were.
If I can just add to one more component of that, when we were getting the presentation on it, they did show that there's thousands of articles, topics that kids can explore on their own. So if they are interested in being an architect, they can go in, type it in, and that digital component will pull up thousands of articles for them. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. That was part of my question. Also, I was wondering, so there was a lot of talk about historical figures. Are there any modern figures as well that it talks about?
Yes. Yes.
Well, just for all.
Yeah. So our standards are.
We have to have you at the mic.
So the standards are inquiry based. So, and I'll give you this so that you guys can view what that means. Okay, and it's bringing together students or scholars, how to become scientists, how to become historians, geographers, bring that information to them so that they can get excited about possibly going out there, being paleontologists, anything that has to do, would you like us to answer you? So that's what this curriculum is actually based upon, is the inquiry-based instruction. And we bring all that into the classroom, even modern historians, what they have done for, history, and because we had that discussion in my dinner table. And I got kind of offended because like, what do we need history for? Oh, let me tell you, because we need it. Yeah, because, we grow up knowing that we can change people's lives because we know, how geography affects people, how, economics is part of, why we pay a lot of taxes, why we, have high gas prices and stuff like that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we're almost done. So our next topic is reading intervention. We have in the blue, these are items that we purchased last year, which was Reading Plus, and it's an online component for the middle and high school. And then we also purchased that for the elementary as well last year. Sunday, we've had it for several years, but we did purchase an updated version of it. Now, in kindergarten, I have spoken with the interventionists, and they have mentioned to me that Sunday can be a little too high, too rigorous for those struggling kindergarten kiddos. So we need something else for those kiddos. So we are looking at right now several programs. There's 3 that we're looking at. So for Lively Letters is at the top of the list, but we will let you know. SRA is at the middle school. And my next slide is the last one, and that is our bilingual curriculum. And we've purchased that this year. So if you look at your list, we've covered a lot this year. And we've been very busy. We've spent a lot of money, or going to spend a lot of money, but for good things. And so I feel pretty good about where we're going to start next year. Again, we have social studies. I would like to purchase a social studies for everyone, but if you've noticed on your sheet, right now I'm being conservative and saying it's a pilot program for 5th grade. But if I get enough money, if we find enough money, I would like to go ahead and purchase an online component for all grades. Okay? And after that, I feel we're pretty solid. We might need some type of math intervention program moving forward. I know we're going to be purchasing some PE materials. And if there's another elective that is out there that needs instructional materials, we'll look at that. So I want to save a little bit in the budget for that as well. Okay, any questions?
Ms. Chavita, have
Yes.
you looked at mystery science for an option for
We have
elementary?
that. We do have that.
Okay.
And I have it, I bought it for Bayard as a supplement. And it was only, I think, 700 for a school. But I think that's a good idea to maybe have that as a supplement as well for some of the other schools. Because I think there's only 2 schools with mystery science. But yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
How has the family and community been involved with this process?
Well, we've invited them to come and look at some of the curriculum, but no one really showed up. And we've had the curriculum at the main office for them to come and look, but I don't think anybody has looked at the curriculum here at main office. I have it set up.
Okay, and was this also advertised in the newspaper?
No, we did not advertise it.
Maybe, because that's part of one of the.
Okay, the checklists.
Yeah, the checklist.
Go out on the little phone call though. How do you get a phone call?
Ms. Chavita, did it also go through Equity Council? I think Ms. Minus.
Yes, we had some members of Equity Council on the curriculum committee. Yes,
Thank
we
you.
made sure of that.
Yeah, because there's just a few
Yeah, I
things, like
know.
it has to be written notification.
Okay.
Publication in a newspaper, and
Okay,
So
so I
we can
don't think
have-
we did the publication in the newsletter, but I think we did it on Parent Square. So we do need to do it in the newsletter?
Yes.
Okay. And we talked, so we'll do that in the newsletter, in the newspaper. Okay, we'll make sure to follow up with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to say that I'm so excited for the districts to be adopting these curriculums. It saddens me that our students went for so long and our teachers went for so long without the tools that they needed. And I hope we do find that money because the state has been giving us that money every year.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I
So
don't know where it went if it
I'm
wasn't
hopeful
going to
too, but
curriculums.
yeah, so we have rollovers, so we get it back. And as I mentioned, we have some money from the CLSD grant that I've set aside, which I set aside 200,000 for that because ELA curriculum is very expensive. Especially now they get you on the hybrid model because it's not just, of course we want both. We want the digital and the books. So it gets a little pricey. And of course, so that leaves me with the instructional materials, which we have maybe almost 300,000. So we have 300,000 to spend on science and social studies and intervention. So hopefully that'll cover us. Okay. And I just want to say a thank you to the ladies that showed up. Thank you, Brianna, Anise, Kathy, Bethany, and Ashley. Thank you very much.
Ms. Chavita, one last question. I'm sorry. So with adoption, we're looking at possibly next school year for all this to be in
Yes,
place.
that's why I thought, let's do this, girls, and be here. I mean, they had they had, I think, 2 days to prepare. That tells you what amazing teachers they are. And I said, yes, we can wait, but that just prolongs us to order it because I want it, because, just to get a quote, I've already been getting quotes. To get a quote usually takes 2 weeks. And then to write the purchase rec and to get the purchase rec pushed through, probably another 2 weeks. So I do want to go ahead and get this ordered so we can be prepared to go in August. Thank you.
And Mrs. Sandberg, did you have something you
Can
wanted to
I
add?
speak as a parent as far as the reading component of this stuff? So my daughter's been in the district since she was in first grade and she was a struggling reader. Now she is above proficiency thanks to the teachers that have helped push her there. But as a parent, when I was looking at the curriculums, also I'm a member of the Equity Council, I think that the Savas really hit the components of that. And I do worry that some of the things that I brought up in the listen and learn sessions as a parent is the curriculum, having a strong curriculum. And I do worry about my child who has been in the red, who has been a struggling reader, going backwards. We need a strong curriculum that's going to help move our students forward and allow our students to have confidence. And right now my daughter has confidence and it worries me if we don't have a strong curriculum, that she's going to go backwards. We don't want that for our students. I don't want that for my child. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say that as a student of Cobre High School, and then as a student of many of you, I really appreciate actually like fighting for a better curriculum. Thank you.
There's a lot of discussion about the change that is going on, and if it weren't for the change that going on, this would not be an exercise that we'd be going through right now. And this is probably one of the most significant ones. And I appreciate all the work you've done to fill a void that had to be filled. And I think you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Can I add to that comment?
Sure.
I think we're blessed that we have to be educated in this work. Thank you so much. That has really been a significant impact on my confidence coming to these meetings.
Well, thank you.
And just thank you for the presenters. You show the passion. It's not about us, it's about the kids.
It's about the kids, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. This moves us on to item 3B, approval of 2023 NMSBA scholarship nominations. So at this moment, I will open up the floor for nominations. I would like to nominate Micaela Rocha for our NMSBA scholarship nomination. Are there any other nominations? Okay, well, seeing that there are no more nominations, we'll take a vote for approval of the 2023 NMSBA scholarship nomination as Micaela Rocha. I'd like to make the motion.
So moved, Madam President.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing that there is no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. So I believe, I'm not really sure of the logistics about it, but we will put in the paperwork with the New Mexico School Board Association. And then I think they pick 3 students from our region. So I'm going to have to get with you on some details level 4.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you so much. I really appreciate that from all of you. Thank you.
Yes, and you came highly recommended as well from high school administration.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay. That moves us on to item 3C, approval of regular board meeting minutes of February 13th, 2023.
Madam President, I move that we approve the regular board meeting minutes of February 13th.
A second. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing that there is no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, that moves us on to item 3E, approval of budget transfers. Mr. Ryan or Mr. Spaletta? Or Gabby?
Go ahead, Mr. Ryan. It's been a little while since our last finance meeting. I think the first one was for the mentorship. The mentorship that one of the administrators takes on as the overseeing the mentorship program for teachers.
Right. That's what this transfer is for, just to handle that. We do have a stipend paid to a principal, and we're just making transfers to be able to pay her that stipend. That's what that first one is for. So,
So, Madam President, I did come before Finance Committee, and I'd like to move for approval of the budget transfer 2415 for teacher principal training and recruiting.
Okay, you heard it. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing that there is no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. And that moves us on to item F, approval of budget transfer for 24330 ARP ESSER 3, CARES 3.
Yes, and that one is for playground equipment, San Lorenzo Elementary School, using CARES funding to expand the playground out there.
Madam President, this did go before Finance Committee, and I'd like to move for approval of the budget transfer 24330 ARP ESSER 3 funds.
There's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
In the packet, which one is this one? Sorry.
There should be one for the fund 24,330. And it's, I don't have the dollar amount in front of me here, but it was included in
12,000.
your packet.
12,700.
Yeah, 12,000 something.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's coming from capital outlay to support services or the other way around?
The other way around, went into capital outlay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. No.
Okay, other discussion? Seeing that there is no discussion, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. That moves us on to 4A, or 4 unfinished business, A, Equity Council.
I'm sorry, I should have deleted that for A. This line wasn't available today.
Okay. So that'll move us on to 4B, Prohibited Expenditures.
Madam President, in your packet, there's a letter that we sent to Carol Helms with Cuddy and McCarthy back in September, showing that there's invoices totaling $32,314 that were overbilled, that weren't approved, unauthorized. And I spent at least 6 months, maybe 8 months, trying to find out the status of that. I was initially told that they were going to do an investigation on it. Nobody responded multiple times. I received a letter or an email dated March 22nd. That's the first time since I submitted that. And that email letter is in your packet. Today I received another email, and I'll pass that to you. The email today says that after their review and accounting, that we owe $11,558. So in September, we said that we were overcharged for unauthorized items in the amount of $32,000, and today we received an email saying that $11,558 is owed. So I guess if you'd like, I can talk to our current legal team to see how they'd like to proceed.
Madam Chairman, Frank, was this part of the audit for the special audit, the forensic audit?
No, this wasn't included in the,
Did we, okay. Is there any way that we could get that looked at while they're still involved in their audit?
Yes, we could discuss it with Audrey and see if we could add it. We'll see what it takes to do that.
Okay, yes. Okay, thank you for the update. Any other questions?
I just want to make it for the record in terms of what's at issue here is the money that was spent for providing private counsel to board members related to the recall effort, and which is strictly prohibited by statute.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That will move us on to item 5, Finance Committee report.
Madam President, like I said, we had our Finance Committee meeting and we've been spending a lot of time on the stipends, making it comparable to silver schools. And we also looked at the salary schedule. Dr. Spalletta has been putting in a lot of work to get that done and updated. We also looked at contracting out for just to get more hits for applicants for the district. Besides, I know Dr. Spalletta is going to be attending a lot of career fairs, but just different sites that came recommended. I think that's about it that we covered at our last Finance Committee meeting. So we'll be meeting again next week to hopefully finalize the stipend schedule, and we're going to have to look at the salary schedule because there's a proposed 6% raise for all state employees. So that's something we're going to have to take into consideration, as well as educational assistants. I think are going to be making $25,000 minimum. So we're going to have to take a look at the salary schedule.
Any questions? Okay. That moves us on to 6, Superintendent's report.
Not sure if Mr. Lewis is joining us virtually or not. Yeah, I guess not. So to add to my post-entry plan, I know that I've covered 8 key areas, and I'm setting up committee work. Several of the committees have started meeting. Reorganization was done. We've had a lot of applicants apply for the majority of the positions. We've started interviewing. A couple things that are going to be part of this reorganization is developing a family center, which I mentioned in the past. And that would be housed in one of the 2 portables and behind the buses here at the district office. Working with families. Also, student mentoring will be something that will start also. And like Ms. Begay said, part of this reorganization is updating our salary schedule, which we've never had salary schedules for all positions, and we do now. They're in the draft format until we get the final numbers from the budget meeting we go to in the next couple weeks. But we do have a salary schedule for every position that we've spent the last 6 weeks working on. Operation taxes, that's the next handout in your packet. I'll let Frank briefly go through this if you could, Frank.
Yes, we did have a meeting with some of the representatives from Freeport-McMoRan, and they just shared with us, you'll see in your handout, some projections on some historical data and projections on the taxes that they pay. And that handout gives a breakdown of the different types of taxes that they pay, not only to us, but the entire county, and actually to the entire state, because this data you have here is for their entire New Mexico operations. And what they shared with us some really good projections. They're forecasting things are going to be looking up for them in the next few years. Our taxes are based on a 3-year average, and we are this year's funding, this year's taxes still have that one bad year of 2020 COVID when everything was shut down. So our average is still kind of low, but next year we'll bounce back from that and we'll be up again. And one thing they did share with us is they have done quite a bit of capital expenditures there at the facility here at Chino Mine to really boost up production and make it more profitable. So that is what they were sharing with us is going to be good for our district also. So that's what we have to look forward to in the next few years, and it will help our mill levy, our debt service, and our operations. All those three areas where we do collect taxes from them. So overall, it was a good meeting, good information that they shared with us. You have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So next is the strategic planning. We had a very good turnout last week. I think we had 105 people attend the strategic planning needs assessment meeting. We held that, I think it was last Monday at Bayard Elementary, last Tuesday. We had 105 people, gathered a lot of data. Mr. Chavez is working with his group to put all that data together, and he should be reporting back. We're probably going to be a little bit out of alignment with our dates, but he promised me he'll get me that information as soon as possible to report, probably at the next board meeting. And then we have some next steps after that as far as developing action plans and goals and things like that. We recently did a technology audit. So there's a copy of the technology audit report in your packet. There's no significant problems or issues. There's a few suggestions near the end of the report. I think the last overall assessment and recommendations. I'll be working with the IT department to implement those suggestions and recommendations. There's a facilities request in your packet. We recently had our spring bus inspection completed.
I have one question about the facilities request.
Yes.
Included in the packet, and I don't know if this is what they received, it's our old policy, 670. Use of school facilities, and that needs to be updated to our
Okay.
new policy.
I think they may have submitted this before we've changed everything, but we'll change those packets that they received it from. So the bus inspection went well. 6 out of 7 buses passed. One bus didn't pass because we're waiting for a part. The part was sent, but it was the wrong part, so it took 3 weeks to get the part. So just waiting for that part, but all the buses did well with the inspector again. We're working on the website. This has been a project that was started at the beginning of the school year, but we're hoping by the end of the school year that it'll be completed. The district website will be fully updated and redesigned. And then next year we'll work on each of the schools' websites. The 120-day report was submitted and certified by the state just recently. As Ms. Begay mentioned, we have several job fairs coming up. We have one here where we've already got quite a few people signed up to attend on April 5th. So we'll be interviewing all day. The administrators and I will be working all day. And then also the Workforce Center will be joining us that day too to do interviews too. And then we're scheduled to go to 4 different job fairs across the state. Las Cruces, El Paso, Albuquerque, and then Eastern New Mexico to do recruiting for teachers. So those are all going to happen in the month of April. Next on the list or items here is kind of a rundown of the legislative sessions that have happened, and there's a lot of things still happening. We just, over the next 10 days, hopefully they'll be signed off on by the governor. Just to give a quick overview, House Bill 2, there's a proposed increase in 8% increase for public schools, totaling $302 million. So that means a 6% raises for teachers and staff. Funding, as long as the funding works out for that. House Bill 126, there's changes to the high school graduation requirements. So our current 7th graders, that would take effect for them when they get into high school. House Bill 127 is for educational assistants, raising their minimum salary to $25,000. House Bill 130 is mandating learning time, a total of 1,140 hours in all public schools. Ms. Chavita's been working extremely hard with our calendar to make this work, and so hopefully everything works out as we've been working on. Let's see if there's anything else in here that's, there is House Bill 198, which is career technical funds for schools. Let's see. Free meals for students in public schools, that's Senate Bill 4. And then there's different coverages, not like the originally proposed one, but for medical insurance premiums, that's House Bill 533. So there's a summary of House Bill 130 on the next page. And the page after that. And then the bill itself is included too. We're going to send a team to Albuquerque on the 11th through the 14th for a budget conference. So we'll find out more about how we're going to work on all of these things and be able to finalize our salary schedules and put our full budget together. Does anybody have any questions? I know there's a lot of information there.
I had a question about the House Bill 130. So our teachers are getting paid an additional amount for K-12 and then the K-5. So is that going to be a loss of significant loss?
Any other questions about the bills, legislative session? Ms. Chavita and I recently met with Mr. Hawkins at the Silver City Schools, and we met with P&M representative also and a contractor that they're working with about doing an energy audit. So we're setting up a meeting now to do an energy audit. Using some of the things that they recommended will save a lot of money in our regular bills over a short amount of time. So that's something that we're going to be working on over the next few weeks, is setting up a meeting and talking about ways that after we do this energy audit and possibly doing some things to save money with energy. As you know, there's a special audit happening right now with our regular auditor. They're here for 2 weeks, looking at numerous things from the past 3 or 4 years. We had a bond meeting. I think this happened after our last board meeting to discuss the 2017 bond. So we had a really good meeting with the community and determined ideas for use of the remaining $1,100,000. So I've been working pretty much daily with different contractors, getting quotes, and I hope to have all of that done by this week and have another community meeting to discuss the costs of all the different projects. So there's projects pretty much for every school, and they've already been approved. And I think in your packet, the New Mexico Finance Authority, you can see the email that they've approved the projects. So there was two different things through the legislature and governor for funding, and we requested $480-something thousand for safety equipment. And there was also money designated by the lieutenant governor and the governor for funding for sports facilities. So the sports facilities was fully funded, and I'm meeting with the Luis Terrazas and Cy Hemphill on Wednesday to discuss the funding for the legislative funding. It looks to me like it was changed a little bit, and there's not quite the same amount that was originally approved. So I noticed that, and I requested a meeting, and they're going to meet with me on Wednesday. If that's the case, more than likely we'll just be able to do safety and security at one of the schools with the amount of money I saw that was allocated.
And how much was that?
I don't have the actual document. I believe it's $160,000.
But in our bond meeting, we talked about security cameras at a couple of the schools.
Well, I didn't get quotes on that because I thought that we were going to get the money from the legislative session.
Okay.
I mean, it's not too late. Not too late to do that. Does anybody have any questions about that? And the last thing is, I know that we talked a lot about the Department of Transportation applications, and attached is the document that was submitted.
So did we request additional funds to finish the central projects?
Yes, I believe that's what that is. Thought we were going to do several of them, but that's what was submitted. And that concludes actually, let me add one more thing can I add one more thing to my report?
Is it on the agenda?
No.
Well, I don't know. Does it have to be on the agenda?
It hasn't been in the past if we're following the same procedure that we did in the past.
Well, I think for the sake of it having the public being able to offer input, I think it should be on the agenda.
Okay.
So we can
Well,
put
there's
it
some
on the
things in
next
your packet
agenda.
that were added to your packet that aren't on there.
Okay.
Those just,
We can add it to our next meeting.
okay.
It doesn't fit on any of the other ones.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Okay, thank you. That moves us on to item 7, student representatives report.
Good afternoon, Board President and board members. Thank you very much. So we will be having the teen maze for the freshmen tomorrow in Lordsburg. Basketball, softball, golf, and track are going to start district play. Powerlifting will be going to their state competition this weekend, and band will be hosting a festival on April 5th. They will also be going to in April. And of course, we are still getting everything ready for graduation. Key Club has been helping stuff some eggs for one of the elementaries to do a little fun thing with them. Well, for I think almost any elementary kid, it's going to be a Key Club get-together type of thing where they are able to find eggs. And apparently they're bringing that to us, so that will be really nice to see. I believe. Oh, and Dreammakers had their graduation today. So all the seniors like Kiana, Matthew, and some others are actually currently there graduating. I believe that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And if Key Club, ever needs donations of any type, please let me know. I did Builders Club when I was at SNEL, so I really enjoyed that program.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'll actually ask.
Pass the word on. Okay, that moves us on to item 8B, first reading of staff dress code policy. Did we put it in the packet?
I believe so.
Okay. Let me see.
Something electronically.
Yeah, I sent it electronically. Can I borrow yours? No problem.
I thought it was in there. Can anybody see it?
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
I don't have it. Okay, shoot. Okay, so, the staff dress code policy, and I didn't write down which the policy number is exactly, and the policies were down they're still down for several days. So maybe I could, when we post it, is it posted on the website yet?
No.
Okay, maybe we can get it posted along with the actual number that it is when the policy website comes back up. So it's rewritten as staff dress code. The Cobre Board of Education believes that student and community respect for school and school employees is highly important to having a successful school system. One of the factors leading to that respect is the manner in which employees dress while on duty and thus present themselves to our students and community. Accordingly, the board expects all employees to dress for work in an acceptable manner and that does not interfere with the educational environment and as directed by administrators or supervisors. Are there any questions? I removed the wording. It had some wording about women having to wear dresses, skirts, and pants, and t-shirts only reserved for spirit days. And so it just updated to allow for teachers to make professional decisions about what they wear, as well as the administrators or supervisors having the authority to say what's acceptable in their class, in their schools.
I do have a question in case of injury, because obviously still being respectable, but would there be some leniency for any injuries that kind of prevent something like that?
I think it would be up to the administrator of that school.
I also have some questions. One being the genesis of this request. Usually it's done with input from faculty, certainly superintendent, and actually superintendent is the one that's responsible for developing the policies. And this, I think, creates a latitude of discretion that would be very difficult to hold any consistency. And there might be some dissension by some people saying that, I wouldn't allow that in my class, but somebody else is allowing it in their class. As far as
this is for the staff dress code,
okay, well,
not student dress code.
I'm sorry, but still, I think there should be a process of inclusion in presenting a change to the policy, and then go forward from there.
I did send it to the Mr. Lewis, the union president, to look over and offer input. And that's also why we're doing our first reading. If anyone has input, they can email myself or Dr. Spalletta.
The input is more of public input as opposed to peer or professional input.
On staff dress code?
on any policy.
Well, that's why I asked that it also be placed on the website for the public to view it, just like we did with the readings with our other policies.
With the exception being that the policies were created or revised by committee. And,
Well, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to email them.
okay.
Could we possibly take like a staff vote, like a Google survey?
We could. I just felt, and I did get an email about it, that the staff dress code requiring women to wear dresses, skirts, or pants with blouses, and I just feel it was antiquated and needs to be updated. Allowing teachers and aides the professional, allowing them room to make the professional choice about what they're wearing. Because what a educator is wearing does not affect their knowledge or their ability to do their job.
And along those lines, I think a committee would find unanimously supporting that.
Right.
It's just a matter of going, as we had the checklist for the curriculum,
Is creating a committee to make policy changes part of our policy process?
it's really up to the superintendent, but policy is supposed to be developed in consensus of,
Is that in policy?
no, I don't think so.
Okay. I guess we could look into it once our policies come back online. And we can look at it further.
I'd just like to put my input. I think it's fantastic. I think, as adults and educators, we understand the importance of how to dress appropriately. And so this really does allow people a little bit more freedom into what they want to wear into the classroom, which is appropriate. So for example, if you had a male teacher that wanted to wear a dress to school, it's completely appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Same as a woman, she wanted to wear a suit to the classroom, completely appropriate. And so it does allow for still, professionalism, but to the taste of the teachers, and all teachers dress highly appropriately.
Right. And I think it still allows the leeway for the administrator to make that decision if it isn't working for their school. Yeah. So if we can get it placed on the website.
Posted, okay.
And then that could be another way we receive teacher input. If they want to email. I mean, if they want to go back to having to wear blouses, that's completely fine, but I just, with the way this is wording, they can wear blouses if they choose to. If they choose not to, they don't have to. Okay, that moves us on to item 9, public input items of concern. Doesn't look like we have anyone online or in the room for public input.
Not at the moment.
Thank you. Okay, that moves us on to item 10, executive session notice is hereby given so that the Board of Education of the Cobre School District will meet in executive session for the following purpose. A, limited personnel matters as permitted under Section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, specifically so that the board can discuss and legal counsel can advise regarding the status of investigations into complaints against the superintendent. B, board, this word gets me every time, a judiciary deliberations as permitted under Section 10-15-1H3 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, specifically so that the board can deliberate on a final decision regarding a grievance by an employee against the superintendent.
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session for the reasons just listed.
The motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Ms. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Begay?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas,
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana.
Yes.
We are now in closed session at 6:44 PM.
sure it was that she didn't see you when she walked in.
Hold in here now.
That was gorgeous.
Thank you. Go ahead and reconvene in open session at the conclusion of the closed session for a statement affirming that no action was taken in executive session, and that discussions were limited to personnel matters and board adjudicatory deliberations.
Madam President, I move that we reconvene in open session.
A second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Ms. Dean?
Yes.
Vice President Begay?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
We are now back in open session at 7:39 PM. That moves us on to item A1, authorize the board president to work with legal counsel to prepare findings of completed external investigation for parties.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the board president to work with legal counsel to prepare findings of completed external investigation for parties.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That moves us on to 2.
Madam President, I'd like to move that we authorize the board president to issue written post-investigation findings to parties of internal complaints against the superintendent.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That moves us on to item 3.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the board president to issue a written decision to the grievance parties regarding grievance by an employee against the superintendent.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moves us on to item 4.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the board president to issue a public statement regarding the status of investigations of complaints against the superintendent.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. I will go ahead and issue the statement for the media. In December 2022 and January 2023, the Board of Education of Cobre Consolidated School District received reports of employees' allegations against Superintendent Jeff Spalletta and a list of allegations against the superintendent that were sent by a concerned community member and several district employees to state legislators. The multiple investigations into these matters have since been closed. The investigations did not substantiate claims that Dr. Spalletta engaged in violations of law or district policy. The board continues to thank the community for its ongoing support. That moves on to item 12, adjournment.
Madam President, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We adjourn at 7:42 PM.